You're listening to the Zero to Somewhere podcast with Nick Palmisano, Albert Zoe.
Bam! We're back. Zero to Somewhere podcast. It's now fresh after Thanksgiving by the time you hear this, but it's actually not
fresh
Thanksgiving. This is the week before Thanksgiving in our world, so this won't get released for 2 weeks, but we're neither here nor there.
Yeah, we still actually have a ton of work before Black Friday and Giving Tuesday.
We are in the Super Bowl, as Nick likes to say. We are in the Super Bowl of retail, and a lot of our clients are also nonprofit. So we're in the Super Bowl of retail and nonprofit right now, which means we are in our Diesel Jack's busiest time of the year in regards to how much content people want, how much work product from us, the amount of marketing materials they want, videos, ad campaigns, creatives, statics, people getting nervous as you might guess, where like things aren't working. People are raising their hands like, hey, you need to change this. You need to change that. So this is our Super Bowl for accountants. This would be your busy season, February through April. I don't know what it is in investing.
I like how you decided you needed to put that into like accountant speak. Like that was the most natural thing for you to do.
Well, there's the only occupation I know of that has a real busy season. Who else has a real busy season?
Santa Claus.
Huh? That's retail.
Santa Claus.
That's retail.
Well, I mean, that's a busy season.
Santa's not real.
How dare you, sir?
Have you told your son that yet?
How dare you, sir?
Have you told your son yet?
No.
I've told my kids.
That's because you don't have like regular human emotion.
Listen, the very first time any of my kids ask me, like they question anything, I'll tell them the truth. Is the tooth fairy real? No. Is Santa real? No. Santa's
I've never had a kid ask me.
You're being gypped by them. They know you're this. They know it's you. They're just waiting.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
So yeah, it's our busiest part of the year. It also meant last week we also had shoots, which is pretty wild for us.
We did.
This is common. This is our second busy season. Mm-hmm. Both times we've had to shoot right in the peak, and we actually, as Diesel Jack, we have 3 more shoots to go between now and December 24th
that we know of,
that are currently on the calendars, like earmarked, travels booked. We're doing it. 3 more shoots to go. We're shooting at a gym. We're shooting in New York, and one of our clients is coming to us. So just kind of give you a flavor for what it's like in the world of agency.
This week, actually.
Yeah, they're coming to us this week.
Yeah, this week. This last week was a good week for me because we had a bunch of people out in Palm Springs.
Yep.
And another client was like, hey, could you come to DC this week?
It's the first time you've split the team up into 2 concurrent projects. This was something you were very nervous about last year. Nervous about last year.
It would not have been possible.
We had no faith in our audio engineer, Thomas Hunt, who's behind the mic right now.
Last year, I would have rather killed myself than send Thomas Hunt by himself on a shoot because I know he would have failed me.
Thomas, shout out. How did last week in DC go?
It went great. You have little faith.
All right. Well,
but this year, Thomas Hunt 2.0 was here.
So that's a big step for anyone that's out there building a business. When you're the owner, operator of a business, one of the hardest things to do is to build enough confidence in your team that it can function without you. Why don't you talk about that, Nick? Because this is something that you've tried in the past and it didn't work out great for you.
Yeah, I have.
We've covered that before.
I have been hurt before. I once gave an employee, while we were filming the movie Range 15, gave an employee the ability to do all of our ordering for Christmas. I built a spreadsheet with my recommendation and said, you can go up or down on this by about 50K.
Which was what in percentage points? 20%?
Yeah. So it would have been like, 1/6.
15%. All right. So 15, 17%.
Yeah. Because, 50,000 times 6 is 300,000. I had said 300 plus or minus 50, so like 1/6. And that employee decided.
Well, it shouldn't. That's what I'm saying. If you miss by 15%, it's painful, but it shouldn't kill you.
Yeah, it's not going to kill you. But the employee instead had recently received a master's degree and decided that the actual number that needed to be moved was an additional $300,000. So
double.
So 2x.
Double.
Now, I blame myself for not having safeties on this. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but I just would not in my wildest dreams have thought like somebody would be like, yeah, let's go, $600K into debt without permission. And so that was fun. That was a fun little adventure that we all got to go on.
What would you say the major difference was, Diesel Jack versus that time period where we were able to then scale the team? We actually, if you think about it, your team divided into 3 teams because you had the road team in California, you had the road team in DC, and operations in New North Carolina didn't stop either.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. The first thing is, you're here and Suzy's here. So that, having multiple leaders in the organization that really could handle anything. It's not like if I'm not here, you can't solve the same problem I could solve. You might,
but they do text you. They're like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." After I get
yeah, if you tell them something crazy, but still, like at the end of the day, like your solution might not be my solution, but it's still going to be an effective solution. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I think that the way we have the company structured, where everybody's compensation is tied into how well we do.
They also can see the deliverables shipped and unshipped for any customer at any given time.
Yeah. But I mean, if you know that wasting money is going to impact your bonus structure, then, you're not going to just waste money.
And by the way, I remind all of our team members every single time they buy anything, even small, I'm just like, oh, that's $20 out of the bonus pool. That's another $5 out of the bonus pool. Must have been real important, creamer. People complaining about creamer. I'm like, we got to have creamer now? What the fuck is this? We running a restaurant?
What's that? Oh, I'm being told I have to push my hair down.
Help him out, Albert.
He has Lego hair. Just
my
let him
hair?
have Lego
I just
hair.
need a
Your hair
haircut.
looks
I
like
need
a
a
Lego
haircut.
hairpiece just went right down.
I need a haircut. It's,
It looks like a Lego piece
What's
went right
wrong?
down on your dome.
Oh, there's like a...
I don't know.
That?
I don't know. I don't even try to
All
have
right, how am I
nice hair.
doing? Am I good? You happy now, Thomas Hunt?
It's decent. It'll work.
Oh, what do you... Well, it's all right. I'm
But
rolling with it.
back to the subject at hand. For sure, I've been in a couple businesses now. This one is very similar to some of the others that we've been a part of. The reality is like investing in training. So I always believe in training people very hard.
Yeah, you don't train people. You tell them to learn. You're like my training is like, let me lay this out for you so that you
it's
understand
like a bird.
it. Your training is like,
I like
hey, learn it or you just can't be here anymore.
I'm like a parent bird. How do parent birds, teach their kids to
You
fly?
throw up in their mouths?
No. I mean, if you can, eventually, I just throw you out of the nest, and hopefully you can fly. Because if
But
not,
yeah,
you'll
but like
die.
eventually it's like day 2. Day 1 is like fill out the forms. We need to see your passport so we know that you're legally allowed to work.
Well, that's why
and
you're
day
here.
2
So there's
is
a
you
happy
throwing
medium.
them out of the nest.
That's why you're here. There's a happy medium. People they come to me and they say, why I say things like, well, why aren't you successful yet? And then they go to you and you
Yeah.
and you like nurture them.
Yeah, they come to me sad because Albert was horrible to them, and then I'm
Not
like,
horrible. I've never
like,
said a
what
mean
did Albert
thing.
do?
I've never
And
said
they're
it.
like-
I've
They're
never,
like, he struck me.
I've never. I've not hit anybody. I don't even say mean things. People construe that it's mean.
You're extremely direct.
Yeah, like if you turn in 0 out of 10 things, I'll be like, Nick, why have you turned nothing in?
Yeah.
Is that cutting you down?
No, people just aren't usually that direct.
Yeah, I'm like, do you think that's good?
Do you think it's good to fail all
Do you think
the
it's
time?
good to deliver 0 out of 10?
Do you think it's good to have 0% effort?
Yeah, because it's very hard to succeed when customers get 0 out of the 10 things they pay money for.
I'm gonna take a second. This is cutting me deep here.
Yeah. Our guest Dale would like that. There have been times when editors like, but it's a good video. I'm like, the customer didn't accept it.
All right.
So this is a 0 video.
So is there anything else we want to talk about our business before we introduce our guest?
No, we have a really interesting guest.
Yep.
Why don't you do the intro for him?
All right.
That's what's happened in Diesel Jack. We have been able to scale. It looks directionally like we will be. We had talked about our growth numbers. We've more than doubled this calendar year. We've built leaders. We just added a new team member. They started today. That's pretty exciting. We're
Yep.
about to add another designer. at the end of the month. We talked about hiring previously. The systems we've put in place seem to be going well. We're about to up our capacity a little bit. So next step is going to be to add more customers. But before we add any more customers, let's get to our guest. Introduce Dale.
So Dale Hartt, what can I say about Dale Hartt? First and foremost, he is a matchmaker because I met my wife in Cologne, Germany when he was fighting on the UFC card there.
Dale himself was fighting.
Dale was fighting. Yep. Dale had a super tough match. What was that dude's name?
Dennis Siver.
Dennis Siver. And he was like a ball of muscle.
Wait, did that guy ever hold a belt?
He never held a belt, but he came close.
The name sounds familiar.
I'm trying to remember who stopped him.
McGregor.
McGregor was the one who stopped him? No kidding.
I mean, and then he had a win against BJ Penn, but he got old. Like
like we all do. Yeah. But
human.
We are human. So
yes.
out there for Dale's fight, and randomly meet this English girl. We shot the shit. We exchanged emails. Like, didn't think I was ever going to talk to her again. Fast forward a couple of years, we're married. So all of that is because of Dale Hartt. But also, Dale Hartt back in the day partied very hard. and he did not care about what else was going on. So I remember we had this after party that was hosted by Oak Grove Technology, and I wanted to introduce you to people there. I don't know if you remember any of this. I wanted to introduce you to people there so that you could get more sponsorships. And Mark Gross, who owns Oak Grove, has always been very good to me. He wasn't out there, but his COO, who was like a soft colonel, and his COO's daughter, and I don't know, there were like 8 people from Oak Grove that were there. And I was like, Dale, I'm going to take you to this after party. You're going to meet the Oak Grove people. They're good people. They like to help veterans. Let me introduce you. And you were like, bro, I just want to get drunk. And you just kept saying it. You were like, I just want to get drunk. I don't care about any of this stuff. And I'm in the middle of like a conversation with Oak Grove's COO. And you walked up to me and just hit me right in the junk.
All right.
Do you have any recollection of this?
Yeah, I remember. But in my defense, I'd rather get kicked in the nuts than lose a fight, and I was emotionally butthurt. I'm a little punk, and I didn't take it well, and I'm being a crybaby.
Yeah, you were. You were definitely in a mood. But if you remember that night, and it wasn't from a submission, but your shoulder popped out. That's what ended the fight. Like you were in some transition with Siver, and like he didn't sub you. Like your shoulder just popped out. Maybe like I want to say you were on it. Yeah, you were on like a single or something. Oh,
you know what? I had him in side mount, and I'd actually been drilling this maneuver with Joe Stevenson, and he bellied out on me, and I went for a guillotine with an arm in.
Yep.
And when I did, I like landed on my shoulder, and my shoulder popped out. And then he elbowed me in the cheekbone a couple times just for good measure, and choked me. But I got surgery right afterwards. That was kind of like the end for me.
So dang. I just want to say that even though Dale started off as the bad guy, he hit me so hard in the junk that the only thing I could think to do was punch him as hard as I could in the arm. And I did, the shoulder that had been popped out. And he was like, he kind of, you kind of one-kneed it for a second and told me how effed up it was in front of all these people. But then you actually got your way, because I was like, well, this guy's going to keep taking it up a notch. So if we don't leave this party, I just assumed you were gonna dump a beer on like the colonel's head or something. So we got out of there and went to a different party, and and had a good time. So when you reached out to me and you were like, yeah, like I run Stillwater Investing, I did not expect that.
Were you automatically thinking this was like a shady underground?
No. I mean, because that was that was a long time ago. We're talking about, I think that was 2009.
I was 25 or so.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a lifetime ago. So like, I wasn't surprised that you were successful. I just figured you'd be successful doing something crazier. Like you were I don't know, like taking people through South America or something. And then
like that guy that broke Carl Gosen out of Japan.
Yeah. Something just nuts because
I don't mean to be rude, but I could have been that guy.
I need to get smuggled out of this country. I'm being accused of embezzling millions of dollars. Have you been? Hey, that's neither here nor there. Get me out of here. Get me to Turkey.
And I'm, I'm looking at you, and you've got like a pinkish shirt on with a nice blue tie and like a sweater vest. I don't own a sweater vest. I don't own anything like that.
That's an investing guy's.
You are in the investing guy's uniform right now.
Well, the thing is if you wear the sweater vest, it keeps the tie from flopping around all over the place.
I mean, that's
it's
fair.
More comfortable. You know what I mean? And actually, this is going to sound weird to you, Nick, but everywhere I learned my dress, still to this day, like my dress code etiquettes are from the military.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Line your buttons up.
Yeah. Is the
Where's
tie
your hair? Where's the hairline?
Tangential to the belt? Because if not, you're wrong.
Well, it's funny, but the military actually gets you ready for business. I think to some degree, like be on time, like be prepared, like be dressed properly, like. And the more you shine your shoes, the less shit people give you.
Hit your friend in the nuts in front of a colonel. All the basics. You learn all the basics.
They got me on that, if we're being honest. He loves playing the bag tag game, and they think that shit's funny as hell. So I don't know.
So it's not even really your fault.
No,
it's
totally
all Joe.
not
It's
my
Joe Lazan's fault.
Yeah, it's his fault.
So how did you transition from being a total hellman to running an investing group? And before we get going, tell us what Stillwater Investing is.
Well, Stillwater Investing, we're a management company, and originally what happened is we're starting a partnership, which is a nice way of saying a hedge fund. But you say a partnership, and people are a lot less offended and don't think you're an a-hole. So, but you have to
big lockout terms on people where I have to give you money for 4 years.
Well, no, not big lockout. We do a lot of publicly traded companies, so we have high liquidity items, and so we don't have long lockout periods for people. It's a little bit of a pain. We do super small micro caps, so it's like a little bit of a pain for us, and we keep people a month. So, it's not forever, but. And we're working on we don't use as much leverage. So we're probably going to use a bit of leverage just to make it easier for us to get people in and out without us shifting things. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
So how did you get into this game?
Oh, well, I've loved investing my whole life. It's kind of a weird thing. And to be honest, yeah, sure, I'm kind of a hellion, all right. But Nick always sees me at my worst, right? Like after I lose something, and that's when he sees me, and I'm just.
Well, I don't know. I saw you
tearing the world down.
I've also seen you after you win, and it's very similar.
Yeah, it's never. Well,
I won. I'm going to tear the world down. I lost. I'm going to tear the world down.
Yeah, for sure. And in fairness to myself, I look back at some of those evenings, and I think if I hadn't drank 5 or 10 Red Bulls also, that would have really done me a service. You know what I mean? Like I was drinking, I was literally like, okay, let's have 10 Jaeger bombs, and we'll mix in a couple of tequila shots just to smooth things out. And yeah.
Well, I want you to know that you are mentioned in. So Tim Kennedy and I are writing his book right now, and you are briefly mentioned, not in any negative way, but you are briefly mentioned in the book at the Fort Bragg fight.
Oh, that was a crazy night, and there was a lot of crazy stuff about that whole thing, right? That was pretty wild.
That was a wild night.
I was glad. Yeah. That was wild. And it was everything swirls so fast when you're at that point in my life. And honestly, that was like really hard. Like it took me 10 years after to figure out how hard all that swirl made it for me to fight. But I lost a lot of my focus on the fighting. And, partially my body was getting beat up. By the time I got to UFC, I'd already had 4 shoulder surgeries. And, I had a bunch of dislocations. Yep. And, and honestly, Nick, that saved my deal because I'm not too bright. I probably got my brains beat in and, been homeless and whatnot instead of, having my faculties about me because my shoulders wouldn't stay in socket.
So talk about what happened. So you leave this crazy life, and people that weren't around MMA in those days don't understand how freaking crazy it was. Like it's like I liken it to a traveling circus, and it's like you kind of every time you go, you see like the same people, and you have like these relationships with them, but then like you go back to your normal life. And you're like in and out of this traveling circus, like, every few weeks or whatever. But I mean, like that was like peak MMA. Like I know MMA is technically bigger now, but back then, if you were in the UFC, like there were crowds of people that just wanted to meet you and,
Well, and in fairness, a lot of the things that you want in your finance guy, you kind of want in a fighter. The tenacity, the drive, that kind of same competitive, I love a good tussle. I love a good challenge, obviously, or else I wouldn't have done what I did. But the thing you didn't know about me was that in 8th grade, I did a stock picking competition and I fell in love with Warren Buffett. And Buffett was like my guy growing up. And I had a Daytech account in 1993. I bought GE. Wow. And, I was a little nerd. And in fairness, my grandfathers both started businesses. We had the Wall Street Journal coming to the house. My father invested. I was exposed to it at a younger age than a lot of people.
Yeah. So help us close that gap though, because how did you make the transition? So you're sitting, you're fighting, you find out, it sounds like through injury, like this wasn't going to be the long road for you. So how did you make the transition? You loved investing, but how did you, what was next?
Okay. So, then what happened is I had to heal up. I don't know how to say it, but the wheels fell off the bus, Albert. Okay. So, I wasn't the type of guy to quit fighting easy. All right. I waited till I was physically, spiritually, and emotionally bust in every possible way. I literally I was driving a car and I was down to the guardrail. The bumper was scraping and I was flooring it. You know what I mean? And the car finally just stopped moving forward. Okay, so at that point, I get out and I'm 34 years old, and I basically took a year and a half and I just self-explored. I read a lot. I was outside a lot, and I did endurance races. I did 100-miler. I did these long distance canoe races. I did a ton of whitewater canoe racing. And there's actually these 2 Vietnam vets that I love. And I started paddling with these guys every day, all the time. I started hanging out with these guys a lot. And I kind of brought myself back. You know what I mean? I recentered. At that point, I went back to college, and I went and got my degree in finance.
So how old were you at this point?
For 39, 40, I graduated. So I was old.
Yeah. What was the gap between, I guess, from your last fight to rediscovery to school? What was that time? What was that time frame in years? 2 years?
Year and a half, 2 years.
Gotcha.
And once I started school, I went at it pretty hard. I took winter classes. I took every class they let me do, and I got it done as quickly as possible.
And did you self-finance going to school, or did you have to take loans, or how did you get through that?
Well, I milked it off your U.S. tax dollars. I had the GI Bill, and
there you go. That's what it's for.
It worked really well. And in my head, when I joined the service, I kind of I made a deal. You know what I mean? I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna suck a little bit, but I know at least at the end I'll get my school paid for. And I went to a public university, but the University of Maine where I went, I thought was excellent. And our school, our teachers were great. And, I was old and military guy. I got a lot out of it because I harassed the crap out of my professors nonstop. Every question I've had since I was, every question I've had since I was a little kid about investing, I was like, bam, bam, bam. I got my money out of them. I promise. They earned it. Okay, so then I get done, and I got, I was gonna go work in investment banking or at a hedge fund, and I got accepted at a hedge fund. And there's a saying in finance, and my buddy said this to me, and I think it's super true. He says, the first 5 years in investment banking, he goes, they pay you to learn. The next 5 years, 10 years, they pay you for what you know. Then the next part of your career, they pay you for who you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't heed that lesson like a smart person. I disregarded that good advice. What happened is, and my girl is she's like a saint. Okay. I don't even, we had a job offer, and it was things were really secure, and it was going to be pretty, easy. But then I love Ben Graham. So the book that the camera's sitting on, Security Analysis by Ben Graham.
Not the Excel 2016 book?
No, not that one. Hey, that's still a good book. I can't just throw that thing out.
Hey, Security Analysis is a page turner. I mean,
can't wait to read it.
That's what everybody says.
Can't wait to read it.
People are
honestly,
Lord of the Rings, Security Analysis.
What was Ben Graham famous for? He was Warren Buffett's teacher. Is that right?
Value. Yeah. Well,
okay.
You know what's crazy? So you're an entrepreneur, a venture guy more, right? Now, what's cool about him though is he had a Columbia night class, right? And in that Columbia night class, he had Charlie Munger, he had Warren Buffett, and he had the guy that founded Sequoia Capital also.
Oh wow.
He's an original.
Pretty good teacher.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Out of 20 people.
You know the legend of Ben Graham, right? Or how Warren Buffett's legend as well?
No, tell me the legend of Ben Graham.
Well, he's only ever given one A in his teaching career.
And it was to Dale Hartt.
No, it wasn't.
Buffett. Mr. Buffett.
It was to Warren Buffett. Yeah, it's the only person
I didn't know that.
An A. Yeah. So you're reading Ben Graham. You're getting as much as you can out of your college education. It sounds like you got a job out of the gate, and then it sounds like you got
that was at the end.
Introduced, right.
And
you got
and actually what happened
of some
earlier,
sort?
Let's go back a couple steps. Okay. So I love Ben Graham from before I started college, and a lot of the people at the college, they are not. Ben Graham's a weird thing. It's a phenomenon. If you're in, you're in. Okay. And you can't see you don't have eyes for anybody else. I don't know how to say that. When
no one else can teach anything.
When value investing pulls your cord, nothing else feels right to you. You're like, that doesn't feel right.
I
don't know how to say that.
That is a sentence I never thought I would hear from you. Definitely not.
Well, well, so this one guy, he's German and he barely speaks English, but he's a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah.
He quotes Ben Graham the first day of class in investment theory. And I fell in love with him. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this guy's, and he has great integrity, and I really liked him as a person. So I started annoying him like I do everybody I like. And I started going to his office, and I'm the only one that goes to his office hours, right? Like,
Yeah.
like nobody. And he's a hard professor. Like, he's notoriously, and everyone, they smack talk him, like, and I was like,
he's German, so he's intractable. There's no flexibility, you know?
None.
Zero. He doesn't even understand when people ask for like exceptions or favors. He's like,
confuses him.
Was ist das?
Yeah. And actually, so him and I, we were out paddling on the river, and he basically tells me he's got a portfolio theory that he's been developing for like 15 years. And so he's interested in bringing that to a partnership or a hedge fund. And he basically was like, I'll do the management of the securities and you do everything else.
And what's that mean?
Course,
what's everything else mean?
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, Albert, right? Because when I'm floating down the river in my head, I'm thinking 3 months, I'll have it wrapped up, you know? And no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. It ended up being a lot of compliance. And that was the most challenging thing for me, and still is the hardest part about getting this business going from zero to somewhere with this is, I would say,
that was a great callback. I just want to pause you there and say that was a great callback to the name of the podcast. Well,
I like it. Well, you know, it's actually nerve wracking, right? Like, geez, I was watching, and that guy had that Jets. What's the guy had the manager?
Jason Van Camp.
Jason, yeah, he's great, right?
Yeah,
he's telling this killer story about like tackling Rex Ryan, right?
I know.
And I go, how do you follow this up? Like, I'm gonna have him sleeping in like 5 minutes.
I was canoeing on a river with a German. And we came up with
and he
strategy.
was like, we should start a hedge fund together. Oh.
It's totally, yeah. And my girl was like,
does that Dale Hartt know how to party or what?
Is this a good idea? So I had no idea what I was getting into. And I, you know, amongst friends, I think to myself from time to time, would I have done it if I knew what I was getting myself in for? Like, and I don't know. I think so.
Well, that means there was something traumatic that happened. So give me an idea. Like, so it you mentioned a lot of it ended up being compliance, which is probably something you never thought of going to school. Like, you probably thought you were going to be researching and investing in equities. Here you are. They're like, hey, by the way, can you fill out this SEC form or whatever they're giving you?
That's exactly what happened. Albert, I had dreams. Like, I love, like, dude, give me a Bloomberg terminal, right? And let me rip, bro. I love it, man. There's nothing that makes me happier. And, you know, like a Bloomberg terminal is like the ultimate rabbit hole, right? You can be like, let's just go deeper and deeper. And you're like, and, you know, I got ADD and I'm curious, right? I'm a curious guy. And you combine that with the Bloomberg terminal, man, and I am dangerous. And you know what I mean? Like 18 hours straight, and I'm just loving it, right? You know, no, I'm curious. I love information. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And I found, but then so starting this business, I don't get to do hardly any of the stuff I like. You know, it's all like policy and lawyers and read this compliance manual.
Your face right now is amazing.
His face just changed completely from. You see how hyped he was about the Bloomberg terminal?
You won't understand this because you don't watch movies, but you know it's like Gollum. You know, his facial expression when he changes from like the one character to Smeagol to Gollum. You know, he's all like, oh. I love
precious.
My precious.
You don't have any friends.
I walked out of Lord of the Rings. I thought it was boring.
See, I knew you were the wrong guy to talk about. So you become the compliance king, which is what I'm going to call you.
I'm not.
You know?
But listen.
He has a heart.
It was so
of compliance gold.
It was so painful to him. He just admitted he still to this day can't really answer. Would he do it again?
His successful business if he had to do it over again.
He doesn't know if he'd go through with it.
He'd just dislocate his shoulder some more and keep fighting.
So you obviously fought through all that compliance, and your face viscerally showed us how much you couldn't stand it. So when, I guess, give us an idea. So you're chugging along. Were you starting to get clients? Was like money starting to come in that opened your eyes? Like, okay, there's an end to this compliance hell, or what started happening? I guess that kept you going, because that's tough for a lot of people when they do something that they really don't like.
Yeah,
it's tough to keep going down that path.
You know, and in these situations, I feel like it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm just so awesome and tough, right? Like I just have, but the real truth is like, I think it's like bred into me a little bit. I got a family full of like, it's just part of our family code to endure. Like there's no whining allowed in my family. And I say that like, and my family's all business people, right? We own, we have a truck stop on one side and trucks, 18 wheelers on the other side. And like, you know,
I've got to ask, did the families meet because like at the truck stop? Was it like, you know,
so
dad drove the truck and mom ran the truck?
Friends. Totally. That's exactly what happened. So my grandfather actually started one of the first truck stops in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And he
was it called Hartt? Was it called Heart of Gold?
So on one side, Hartt's truck stop is one side of my family, and that's kind of a local institution here. And then the other side is Hartt Transportation. And I think they have my uncle. I speak to my uncle and we, you know, whatever. I have a family relationship with him. But I think he has over 1,000 trucks.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. That's a lot.
That's no
my
joke.
Uncle's he's kicking butt over there, man.
Yeah. That's a lot of trucks. That sounds horrible. Just so you know, like if somebody was like, I will give you this 1,000 truck business, I would probably say no. Like, you know what? That sounds horrible.
Well, it'd be easy to flip.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I would take it and then sell it to someone that knew something about trucks. But I'm saying it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of complex logistics.
My father worked at the truck stop, is like a pump jockey when he was 16. And my mother was, you know, about the same age, and I'll spare you the details.
And now you're here.
But well, the important part though, like I was saying, like our family, the golden rule is no effing whining. So, you know, a lot of people, like every family has their thing, and our thing is marathon snowmobiling. So, you know, normal people go for like a 50, 100 mile ride. We would go on these 200-mile death marches, right? Like, so my uncle would he'd pull out the gazetteer and he'd look at it all week while he was at work. And he just picked some spot. He'd be like, I don't even know if we can get here. And we'd have to do chainsawing. There'd be snowmobiles catching on fire, running out of fuel. You know, it'd be like every
now,
weekend.
Where is this happening?
Northern Maine.
Northern Maine, God's country.
God's country, and it's actually dangerous up there because
I believe
you ain't getting no help.
Yeah. If anything bad happens to you, like you're just gonna no
What's the biggest wild animal you've ever taken down with your bare hands?
Probably a mouse.
So you haven't taken out like a moose or a black bear or something?
Oh, I'm so soft when it comes to that. You know, like, man, I'm that guy. Like, even when I was a kid and I played Call of Duty, I wouldn't kill the dog. You know what I mean? Like, and my dad is the great white hunter. Okay. And even my uncles now, they're all like hunters and they're all out killing stuff all the time. And when I was 10, I shot first off, it was mandatory to go hunting. Like my father didn't even really give me a choice. Okay.
Yep.
And you know, I'm 10 years old. He hands me a gun and he says, "Horns, son. It's got to have horns." And hands me a 12 gauge Frankie shotgun, Italian made, semi-automatic.
Yep.
Semi-reliable. And, you know, little deer walks in front of me. No horns. Next one walks, a little tiny deer with tiny little spike horns. And I shoot the poor thing. And It's stomach. I shoot it in the stomach. Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, no good.
Ah.
And so then I take another shot at the poor thing and I blow its back leg off.
Oh no. Oh, this
So
is
now
just getting worse.
It's army crawling and
Oh.
it's dragging its guts behind it.
Oh.
And I'm like, but I go to shoot it again and my gun clicks, right?
Yep.
And actually, my father's like, he's killing stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, so he walks, and my father hears the gunshots, and he comes over, and this deer is still army crawling.
Yeah.
My father casually walks over, and he takes his 30-06, he just bashes it in the head.
Oh, wow. So that doesn't make this that doesn't make this less traumatic.
Right. So as my father says, I was a Bambi guy after that. Like, I stopped killing stuff. That was the end of me killing stuff.
And that's why you chose the Navy.
Yeah. And so everyone can make gay jokes about me for the rest of my life.
All right. So you're neck deep in compliance. When does it all start working? When's it start working?
It's already okay. So I've been able, like, for the last 6 months, I've been helping individuals, and part of like me getting registered to do the hedge fund, I got registered and set up to take care of businesses and smaller people. And so I've been doing that to some degree, and that has been super rewarding already for me. And I already know I really like my job. Now, I also really know that one of my big drives to be successful and to make it is my company is so I can hire some nice person to be my compliance officer.
That's a great goal, man. That's seriously. People like to set revenue goals, but that's a great goal.
I have accountant, and that's when I've absolutely made it. If I have someone helping me with compliance and accounting, life is grand. So
how old is the fund?
The fund is January 1st.
Oh, wow. So you're still, you're fresh in it.
I'm thick. I'm in the thick of things.
So this is like exciting, crazy. But you are the first person that we have had on that has launched something in the financial space. This is a different monster. This isn't just like, hey, I'm starting a business, I'm trying to sell something.
Don't do it.
That's what everyone says. There's a lot of options. I mean, especially now, there's more so than ever. There's more options where you can invest for yourself. There's robo-advisory,
totally.
Acorns, Wealth Advisor.
Totally.
Well, I don't want to name anymore because I don't want you to feel bad.
No. I absolutely, what I don't like is people not investing. That's what I dislike the least. But at the same time, I guess I like what Warren says. Like Warren says, if you don't know investing, and I'll actually take it. He actually got that from Ben Graham. And Ben Graham furthers the concept, and he says, if you are not able to be a professional investor, if you could not be an advisor, you should not manage your own securities. Now, if you say to me, I can't manage my own securities, what are my options? At the simplest level, getting an index to me is generally going to be better for a lot of uneducated people than almost anything else.
Like the SPY or the QQQ?
Not like definitely the SPY 500. Like, and maybe like, okay, so you also have that, maybe like a more global fund would be, I personally, I tend to like Vanguard a lot. And if if someone's listening and they're like, okay, I don't know what to do with my money, and I'm not getting paid by Vanguard to say this, but to me, Vanguard has pretty reasonable fees. They're pretty darn trustworthy.
Yep.
And if you go and put your money in like the Vanguard total world market, you're going to have good years and bad years, but your life's going to be a whole lot better if you're chunking money into that. You know what I mean?
I was in the early 2000s, right before the crash. I was neck deep. I was neck deep in all the Janus funds. Janus was like spicy as hell.
I had one.
And then
I had one.
Oh my God, I lost so much money.
Was it loaded? Was
What's
it a
that?
loaded mutual fund, or was it loaded?
No,
or not
no.
loaded?
Janice wasn't loaded. It wasn't loaded.
Yep.
They made all their money. They had, I forget what it was. I mean, some minor fee, but I mean, it was the place to be until it wasn't.
In 2006, I was heavily invested in the triple leveraged funds that were shorting banks, like Fez and FAZ, direction shares. This is gonna pay off so big. The banks are gonna collapse in the housing crisis, and my stock price just going up through the roof. Then the government stepped in and started bailing out the banks, and it goes 3x up, it goes 3x down too. It like as the recession bounced back in 2008,
it just disappeared.
The fund went to zero. It would like just dropped like off a cliff because the government pumped cash into the banks, and I was like, "Fuck!"
Well, so talk about your fund. Talk about what's the thought process behind it? Who should invest? How does somebody get involved?
Well, we're not allowed to advertise in a way, right? And so we're limited on what we can talk about. But with our fund, the thing is we're specializing in small caps and micro caps. And one of the things that it's a rough playground, right? There's a lot of predatory. I guess I love this thinking. I forgive me for always going back to simplifying and maybe oversimplifying things, but I love the analogy. Like if you're sitting around at a poker table and you look around the table and you don't know who the fool is probably you. Mm-hmm. and to me, the big dogs in investing, they have certain advantages over smaller players. But one of the advantages the smaller players has is in small caps. And, Warren Buffett estimates that he would have made triple his returns if he was able to move the meter with small caps. So if he was like a $50 million investor, he estimates that he probably would have gotten triple the returns. And that seems fair.
So who invests with you, like size-wise, and why did you choose that target?
I didn't choose it. The government chose it for me.
Okay.
And they limit us to accredited investors. And
it's like $1 million net worth.
Yeah, $1.2 million. 1.2, and you have to have $1 million with us, or you have to have a net of 2.2, not including your house. And that's actually the lower level. So the government has that is accredited is the lower level, and then the next is a qualified investor, and that's 5 million. And so what they do to us, the government gives us a choice, and so basically a hedge fund is an exemption, and what that means is that we don't have to report all our trades to the government. Like a mutual fund, they have to report everything they're doing all the time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if they have some sort of great system, like it's not going to be great for long. Everyone's going to peel it apart quickly. Yeah. Right. So the beauty of a hedge fund is you get to your privacy, but the government says in exchange for that privacy, you can only deal with, educated or accredited investors that are supposed to be able to protect themselves. Now, if we do accredited, which is that lower tier, we can only take 100 investors. If we do the qualified investors, which is the higher tier, we can take unlimited investors.
So right now you're working with the 100.
Yes.
And can you ever bump up? How does that work?
Yeah, well, you can start a new fund.
Got it.
And you have to do a lot of the paperwork, and it costs you $25,000 to do the paperwork. Just the lawyer, hours, probably 50 hours and 25 grand.
So how many investors, and if you can't say this, it's okay. How many investors do you have so far?
I have 10 for the hedge fund.
All right. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah. We're doing okay. We're going to be all right. And I haven't really started our capital raise or marketing. So a lot of this has just been connections that I have already that are existing in the Bangor area, in the main area.
Is that Oak Grove Colonel one of them?
Definitely. Sorry about that. Well, you know, and you know what's funny though, man, I misbehaved one night with Joe Rogan, and he actually mentioned it in his podcast the other day. He didn't really elaborate the whole story.
Was it in Germany? Because we partied with him.
No, we did party with him, and
Yeah.
he was so good to me, man. I
Yeah.
love that guy.
Yeah.
He's the greatest. But no, that was Studio 54 in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I'm ashamed to say we were throwing ice. Okay, so they had the nice, pretty go-go girls dancing.
Yep.
And then they sent a guy through, you know, and
Yeah.
Rogan and I had like 10 Jaeger bombs or something, you know, and like Eddie Bravo's going into conspiracy theories, and like edibles are getting passed around, and like shit's getting deep, you know, and like, so at the time it seemed like a good idea to throw ice at the poor guy. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Probably
and
not a good idea though, right?
No, you know, no.
Did they kick you guys out?
No, they came up, you know, they saw his Rogan. They said, please
Hey,
stop.
can you
Please stop throwing ice.
You already know this, Nick, but the thing about Vegas is like when you're somebody special, like you can't get kicked out.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why I get kicked out.
and I don't
of
mean
everywhere.
special like my level, but Rogan's level.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah, he's not
he
getting
ain't
kicked out. He's not.
And like I had a friend that was a baseball player and a famous one, and I'm not going to name his name, but we went to the Hard Rock one night in my younger days, and he probably did 20 tequila shots. And he ends up on the table with his shirt off, bashing on the gong. Like, you know, he took the gong thing off and he's doing this, and all the security guys come running over, and he turns around. And I think we're getting kicked out, of course. You know, this is when I was newer to Vegas.
Yeah.
And he turns around, and he pulls out his wallet, and he shrugs, and he just starts fucking shredding them with hundreds, right? And those guys just dispersed.
Just disappeared. You know, like cockroaches in the night.
And they weren't even there to kick him out. You know what I mean? They were just there for their cash. Like they knew he was going to dispense.
Yep.
So Dale, you mentioned before that you specialize in microcaps. So and I know you're not allowed to give
microcaps.
Yep, and I know you're not allowed to give investment advice.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you about investing advice and things that are not your domain. So you have no experience.
Yeah,
so
I love it. I'm super into it.
We got to close to see what you think of things. All right. So our audio engineer here is ridiculously into cryptocurrency.
All right.
Your thoughts on Bitcoin? Invest or stay away?
This is great. I'm gonna have another. You know, Nick told me he was drinking whiskey, and I was like, I'm having a glass.
I'm doing gin tonight. I'm a big believer in only drinking old drinks, so I'm doing gimlets.
All right, we got to ask.
Well, all right, I love it. Now, okay, this to me is an exciting topic, and I get very nervous about cryptocurrency, and I get nervous. I have a friend, and he invested in internet stocks in 1999, right? And they burned him, you know, in
2000.
he had he was up to $5,000. It went down to 1,500 and it shut him out. You know what I mean? It got so small, they shut him down. And he's never invested since. Like, I'm like, please do a Roth. Like I almost am ready to contribute for him. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, not touching that darn, you know, stock market. So I get nervous, right? So, okay, cryptocurrency. Now, here's the thing. To me, crypto basically is we're buying a piece of software. And, you know, we're buying a unique number. We're buying a secure system for me to hold it safely, right? And a unique identifier. Mm-hmm. Now, can I value that? No, I cannot. I can't value anything without cash flow, okay? I can only value things effectively with cash flow. So it's going to be very hard for me to fairly value Bitcoin. It's purely speculatively driven. Okay. Yep. So would I recommend investing in it? I do not. Do I believe that blockchain technology is the future of our society? Absolutely, 100%. Me to be able to send an individual or a business secure money directly, digitally, person to person, unbelievable technology. If they can be done securely, quickly, cheaply, that's the future. Is it Bitcoin? I'm not sure. Is there going to be a more efficient one? Is technology going to surpass Bitcoin? Potentially. Do I know which one will win? I do not. Do I think a lot of people are going to get smoked on these smaller coins? I absolutely 100% do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I think,
go ahead.
I think everybody knows that though.
Yeah.
You know, like,
But they just want to be part of the heat. There's
like,
too much
no,
excitement.
not me.
There's too much fire.
Not me.
There's too much
Not me.
excitement.
no,
Not me. That's all I ever hear.
When you see coins called Cum Rocket go like 1,000% up in a day.
When I bought Shiba, I wasn't like, yeah, this is going to be the game changer. It was like, you know what? It's dumb enough that like if a bunch of people get behind it and it blows up, I will get out, not worrying about whether or not it went so high that, you know, like oh, I got out early or whatever. I don't care about that.
All right, I got another fun one for you.
Wait, hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
All right, I got to tell you this. And to me, it's the point of view, because the problem is I have 2 points that I'd like to make that I think is important that people understand. One, it's very important, Nick, that you differentiate between speculation and investing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if you designate some of your money and you speculate, dude, that's fun. Like, Nick, if you invited me down to the horse track and I dropped a couple $100, like, you know, that's speculation. I'm probably going to lose, but man, I'm going to have a great time. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that's how,
beers.
Yeah. That's how I look at crypto right now. Like
that's healthy.
My gut instinct is it is here to stay. That's my gut instinct. But I don't.
Yes.
I'm not, you know, knowledgeable enough.
You're not putting a second mortgage on your house to go all in.
I am not putting a second mortgage on my house to go all in. And hey, that might bite me in the ass.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, crypto's like every paycheck, I throw a little money towards it, and it's fun.
Now, you know, I guess again, when we look at it, like, okay, this is speculation. Like, okay, that's one thing, but you have to be able to differentiate. Like, to me, I think of it on the simplest level. Like, the investing is like is like owning the casino.
Yeah.
Right? That's what investing is. Like, the odds are in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
Speculating is like walking into the casino.
Yep.
Like, you know, you're going to win 47% of the time, 46% of the time. I don't know. If you have a single deck and, you know, you're playing your card or whatever.
Yep.
Now, I will tell you that, and the problem I have is that a lot of people can't recognize the difficulty in selling something. And what I mean by that is you're like, okay, this crypto's gone up. All right, like, it should be easy for me to stay ahead, right? But you get attached to things.
Yeah. Hold.
Yeah.
And timing sells is incredibly hard.
Yep.
And trading is very difficult. And a lot of people that are otherwise, welcome to Bangor.
Hey, you know what? Usually it's here that we have the siren,
Yeah,
so it's
I don't
nice
mind
to have
that.
a change of
That's
pace.
good.
No, but you're right, because there's serious FOMO when it comes to Bitcoin.
Like how much more is it going to go?
People that got that got out at like $20 and made a fortune actually still feel bad that they didn't stay in for 60. But like, really, like, you made a fortune. You should be happy.
Yeah. I got another fun one. Oh.
All right. Well,
I got another fun one for you. All right.
Yeah.
So this company IPO'd last week, Rivian. It is valued. Its current market cap is bigger than General Motors. They make electric trucks. 30% of their company, I believe, is Amazon's invest. Like 30% of the shares are owned by Amazon, and they have already ordered all their future electric vans through Rivian. But Rivian has not sold one van to any consumer. It is currently valued at more than General Motors. Are you long or short Rivian?
I'm out.
I'm not touching it.
No, and you know, okay, it's I guess for me, I love the idea that once we get over a certain price to earnings ratio, we now are into speculative territory. So if you look at Rivian like a cryptocurrency bet, and we look at it as a horse race, a speculative action, but like, let's say I like the company. Let's say I'm a first, you know, one of those people that gets the first edition.
First mover?
Yeah, I'm a first mover, and, you know, I dig electric cars. I'm trying to, you know, that to me might be the kind of investment that you would make then. If I'm making it from a purely investing standpoint, I am out. I would not short the company, but I would not invest. And I guess for me, I feel like a good steady cash flow, a boring. You know, people really love to get
He really
excited.
is a Ben Graham guy. He's a Ben Graham disciple.
Yep.
All right.
Well, you know, people get excited, right? Like people get really excited about exciting potentials, right?
Yeah.
I don't like potentials. I like to try and think of 500 ways that my cash flow is going to get crushed. And I like to have it be so absolutely simple that it just minimizes those chances by as much as possible.
Yep. Growth is great, but cash flow is king.
Well, let me give you an exact example. And this to me illustrates it perfectly. You had Elon Musk going after Charlie Munger, right? And he says, Charlie Munger is always saying to Elon, the moat. It's all about the moat, right? Like the protective moat around I want a business with a protective moat. And Elon says, you're old and you don't understand. And he goes, innovation. Innovation is everything. Okay. And he says, and Charlie Munger comes back at him and he says, if you think innovation is everything, he goes, try and replace a Snickers bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a moat. Like, try and take down Snickers. Like, you think making a car is hard? Like, making an electric car is easy compared to taking down Snickers.
Like 100-year brand, like 100-year brands.
Yeah.
That people are just addicted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you don't want a Milky Way.
Yeah.
You know,
you want a Snickers.
Yeah, you want a Snickers bar.
We got one more final one before we go, though. This just happened recently in the Black Rifle Coffee. We're talking about in the offices.
Yeah.
This new investment vehicle of SPACs, special purpose acquisition companies. Of course, Black Rifle recently went public via SPAC. For those who don't understand a SPAC, it doesn't mean that. So the stock that's being traded is a company. So it's basically a financial company. It's like a company constructed of spreadsheets specifically with cash to acquire other companies. In its portfolio is Black Rifle. Now, the question is SPACs. Are they worth investing in? Would you invest in a SPAC?
Okay. A SPAC is that's a widespread question you just asked me. And because of the way they structure SPACs, there's humongous difference between them.
Yeah.
And when I look at SPACs, like a lot of times the sweetest deal is definitely going to the management. Okay.
That's what we said.
And you know, you look it through the fine print. That to me is the key when you're investing in a SPAC. To me is all about trust. And what I mean by that is if I invest right now in POSCO Steel, I can see what they're doing. I can see what they own. I can see their assets. I can see all their information. When I invest in a SPAC, I hand all the trust to whoever's running that show.
Right. You're right.
And a lot of times they're the ones setting up the deal and they set it up pretty sweet for themselves.
Yep.
Now, am I saying that every SPAC's going to end up losing money and, you know, whatever? Maybe some are going to make it. I bet more miss than make it.
Yeah, I personally was telling, me and Nick were having this conversation. I said, I don't trust it because it's, yes, you think you're investing in the company, but you're not. The company that is part of a SPAC is just a piece of it. It's also layered in with tons of other companies, tons of cash. Overhead. You have no idea what else they're going to invest in.
You don't know.
You're investing in the manager.
Yeah.
That's really what you're doing. You're investing in the manager.
You're literally investing in, like, if someone said, I'm a deal maker, I'm going to make $1 billion worth of deals. I think my company's going to be worth $3 billion. Like, I'm going to triple the money in 3 years. Like, I don't know. Like, well, what do you have right now? I have some of these things. Like, you don't even know what they're going to get.
Exactly it. And that's exactly it. But let's say, you know, Nick came to me or someone that I had a lot of trust in, and he said, I have something here. You know what I mean? Like, and now I start thinking, okay, maybe that's something, you know, it's all because of the individual. That would be all the value for me.
Yeah. And when I think of SPACs, I always think, don't think for 1 second, like whatever the lead, like just like a anchor tenant of a mall, right? Whatever the lead company is in the portfolio, if that shit starts to fail, they're going to spin that thing out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like it's out of there. They're going to punt that thing right out, right?
At a massive loss.
At a massive loss. Yep.
Yeah. So like,
but better than total failure.
Yeah. So like, if you're inside the circle,
well, you know, that's what finance
awesome.
is all about half the time.
Yep.
Avoiding systematic failure.
Yep.
Just staying alive, baby.
Oh man. Dude, it was fun having you on the show, Dale. Like I know we had a couple technical hiccups, but like the last part, hearing your perspective, I mean, you really are a disciple of Ben Graham. I felt like if Ben Graham was sitting across from me, he would have answered those questions the same way.
Okay, so imagine this scenario again, Albert. Like, so imagine you're like me, right? Like, I am a Ben Graham nerd, right? Like, and imagine you go into your first class of investment theory, and all these other professors didn't get it. They just didn't get value investing. And then you got this guy, and he goes up there and he starts talking about book value, PE ratio. Like, he starts singing your song, and then he quotes Ben Graham, and literally my heart was like, oh, like,
but in German.
It was like a scene from Ghost. And and I did. I fell in love with it, man. Like,
were you the hands coming around, or was he?
I think I might be Little Spoon.
So at least your hands are on the pottery. Like you're making some like you're making a bowl.
I know we gotta go, but how about real quick a side note? Did you guys see speaking of hands, poor Herb Dean?
No, what happened?
Yeah, so the UFC, so the Holloway fight, the fight before the co-main, De Lima was fighting Rothwell, and Herb, like, he wanted to stop the fight, right? Rothwell was taking heavy punishment, and he grabbed his hips, right, and it was kind of a weird, like, he touched him, and then he kind of didn't want to stop it, and then he got back in there, like he was a little wishy-washy, which you can't be. Man, it's happened so fast in there.
Yeah. You got to make a call, though. Once you make a call, you got to go with it.
Yeah, I know you say that, Nick, but referee is freaking tough.
Man. Oh, it's a tough job. Yeah, it's a tough job.
Thankless.
It's absolutely thankless job.
I loved your video, by the way. You getting out of the helicopter.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think I was like 300 of those views from showing my pals.
Thanks, man. No, we appreciate it. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on, and look forward to seeing what you do over the next year.
And we'll do it again. I got another thing coming, a big announcement that's related to our mixed martial arts world. And,
awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm not quite ready yet, but we'll talk again when that comes around.
Sounds great, man.
You're gonna really like it. It's exciting.
Is it some kind of tool to protect your junk at after parties?
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't wear a cup. That's a novice maneuver.
Just casually wear a cup.
Casual cupping.
Here's the best part, though. This is the best part about the cupping game is it keeps you on your toes, right? Like, you're super ready for ninjas, right? Like, if people are bag tagging you every now and again randomly, you're always looking around. Your head's on a swivel. You're like, you got head counts on every room you're in. Like, you're backed into the corner. Like, you keep yourself safe. See, I was doing you a favor, Nick. You're a little more ready for ninjas.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
It wasn't just me drinking Red Bull and booze. See?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye, guys.
What did you learn, Nick?
I learned that if you want to get in the investment vehicle game, the government is heavily involved, and it sounds miserable.
Yeah, being stuck in compliance does sound pretty brutal. For him, I think he was lucky. Well, like when I think of Dale's story, I think he's a little bit lucky that his interest was directly vocational. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has that. You know what I mean? Like being interested in investing, reading Ben Graham at the age of 13 or something like that. Yeah, that's not really like a common interest.
That's not like a fun book unless you're really into it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he was definitely fortunate to be interested in something that's directly vocational. I think a lot of people don't have those interests, so it's a lot harder to figure something out.
But also, he had the investment banking job that he didn't take, and you know that those are serious money gigs.
It's big money. Yeah, so, The other thing that was pretty interesting is like, where does opportunity come from? Well, I mean, he was basically the only guy in his class. That was so interested in the subject that constantly badgered the professor.
Constantly asking the teacher about it.
And the professor clearly saw something in him and said, hey, I'm about to do this. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you can find a partner simply by just working hard.
Yep.
Like
that's how I found Albert.
We have actually no other interests than work.
We're really boring people. No, you surf.
No, we have no common interests. You and I have no common interests. Like,
I mean, you did jujitsu for a while.
yeah, but I also quit it because I don't like it that much.
You don't care about it. Yeah.
I told all the professor of my school. I said I said, hey, I'm going to stop jujitsu. My daughter is now old enough to do activities, so I'm going to save some of that budget and time for her. He goes, well, why did you choose to cut jujitsu? And it's just because I don't like it as much as the other things.
that must jiu-jitsu guys are so passionate. That must have like broke his heart.
He's like, what? You like other things more? Like, yeah.
But dude, I have like the same comments. It's like, why do you do jiu-jitsu? I'm like, because I'm no longer athletic enough to wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do. So of course I chose something else.
Judo hurts too much now that I'm old.
But I did like Dale's. I mean, the one thing he did demonstrate is that he invests on a principle. I mean, he showed that. I named like 3 of the hottest things right now. And he's like, I wouldn't touch any of them. That takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, I mean, but he didn't say not to touch them. He said not to touch them as an investment. And there is a difference. Like
That's true.
If I lose my my crypto account completely, it doesn't affect my life.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I need to start messing around with this because I think it's the future. But it's also entirely possible that like all of the coins we now know and think about as investment vehicles in a year are useless because there's something new and exciting. But like, people that have all their money in crypto, I mean, hey, they might be totally right, but it's a huge gamble. And I know from just being an old that, in 2000, I thought I was going to be a millionaire by, 2005 because my Janus funds were just cranking. The internet was cranking. Penny stocks. Like I was invested in USVO and synthetic blood and all these weird penny stocks. I started with like $8,000 and, it turned into like 60 grand over the course of like 2 years. I thought I was a genius. Lost all of it.
That's what he was saying before. You become too tied to your investment. You couldn't sell it.
Couldn't sell it.
You didn't see that as the top. You saw that as the beginning.
If I had sold it, or even at any point on the way down, that would have been a life-changing kind of, at that age.
Yeah.
It would have been like a life-changing thing. But instead it was like, you almost zeroed out because you were like, it'll go back up. And like it never did. Ever.
That's unfortunate for you.
That's all right. But you learn. Like,
but I will say this. Based on Dale, I agree with him on 2 of the 3 things. I would not touch Rivian.
No.
I mean, its valuation is greater than General Motors.
It's too high. The bet there is very much it's going to be bigger than Tesla.
Or on par.
That's the bet.
I mean, but in all the other auto manufacturers are all launching EVs. EVs will be the standard. I believe that.
EVs are going to be the standard. No doubt. Yep.
EVs is going to be the standard. Right. So is Rivian going to be the winner? I have no idea. So I wouldn't touch Rivian.
It does help that Amazon is involved.
Yeah, because they're going to outfit their.
But I also think like Amazon's going to get broken up at some time.
You think so?
I do. They're too powerful.
Well, even if it was true that their logistics arm was going to buy Rivian trucks, that's still a lot. If they go to Rivian trucks and kick out Mercedes, that's going to hurt Mercedes.
That's going to hurt Mercedes. No doubt about it.
Every truck of Amazon is Mercedes Sprinter,
so
right?
maybe short Mercedes.
See, but I don't know what percentage Sprinter van is of their total sales.
Sprinter van's pretty awesome too.
I wouldn't touch SPACs just because the way they're set up. I agree with, like you heard Dale say the same thing. I wouldn't touch a SPAC just because you're investing on what the guy's going to do with the money.
I mean, it's essentially like, it's almost like a hedge fund.
Oh, it is. It's a publicly traded hedge fund.
It's a publicly traded hedge fund, like,
Like, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, and it's too new, and I don't know.
But I'm long Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And if you want to open up your own Coinbase account, you can get my referral link in the show notes below.
It's unfair that you always post your referral link. Yeah.
Hey, you write the show notes. You can do it.
All right, guys.
Until next time, everybody.
Thanks a lot.